All right, Northwoods Cardboard Gang, today we're going to be talking about eBay and how eBay needs to do things better right after this. Alright guys, I'm Andy with Northwoods TCG, and today we're going to be talking about things that are going on in the Pokemon TCG, things that'll be helpful for you and things that may actually affect you when it comes down to your market price in Pokemon. So, if you are new to the channel, be sure you hit that subscribe, hit that notify, and last but not least, hit that like button, especially if you enjoy the content that I'm about to bring forward. So, today we're going to be talking about eBay and why they need to do better. This has been an issue that's been coming up for a long period of time. This is nothing new. They own TCG Player, and TCG Player is able to compensate for these issues, but yet, time and time again, we continue to see eBay having nothing but issue after issue after issue. And today we're going to be talking about, of course, shell bidding and what happens when these products are actually sold on eBay. So, first of all, we're going to go back to TCG Player. Now, TCG Player, of course, has also been known to have these shell buying. So someone will buy a product, and of course, they can cancel the product right away. So they may buy it at a really low price or a really, really exuberant price, and then the person who sold it can cancel the order and not actually ship it, but yet the sale would remain for a long period of time. And that was a way, even with the Celebrations UPC, that was a big discussion that we had when it came down to the Celebrations UPC, is they were going for around 250 to 280 at the time, but yet there were continuous sales, lots and lots of sales at about 180 to 175. Now, what someone was doing was that they were putting these up for sale, and then they were buying them through another account or had a friend buy them. And when it came time to ship them, they would cancel the order. Why would they do that? Because then the price would look like one sold at $180 because someone purchased it. And TCG Player at that time period wasn't onto it. And once they caught onto it, they learned that, hey, if they see these kind of actions occurring multiple times and, you know, even like 10, 20 of them happening on the accounts, that tells them that there's a big red flag when it comes to that particular product. So in Celebrations UPCs, they really didn't do much of it at that time, but the price continued to go up. Of course, the lack of supply on that particular product really didn't change the outcome of that particular instance. So it really wasn't a huge deal in this one, but TCG Player learned. TCG Player has been bought out by eBay, as most of us know, and we would think that they would take some of that knowledge from TCG Player and use it on eBay, and some of their eBay knowledge and use it on TCG Player, right? They're umbrella company, they're owned by one corporation. You think that the knowledge would be starting to transfer through. But now, TCG Player, release of Obsidian Flames. What did we see? That SAR Charizard instantly $1 sales, and there was like 20, 30, almost 40 of them, I believe, at one point, that right when it released, there was a bunch of $1 sales on that alternate art Charizard. Now, once again, why do you always buy things at the really low price? So someone was selling it for $1, buying it, and then canceling the order, and they did this, you know, dozens of times to try and sit there and drive that graph down even harder. Why? Because then they could hopefully see that people are going to sell it at the cheap, because they look at that. A lot of people, when they list on there, look at the market price. So if you go in the backside of TCG Player and list something, you get to see the market price, the last sold price, and all this information. So if you're sitting here and you're installing all this information, you can sit there and look at the market value of this particular card and go, oh, well, it's only market valued at about $60 when technically it should be at 90 to 120. That's the biggest problem is when someone does $1, they can drive that market down. But TCG Player, once again, did a fantastic job. Within a couple hours, they had all of those dollar sales completely cleaned off because they realized that they were fraudulent. They weren't real, and they weren't something that was actually going through. And thus, it was causing a disturbance on their market pricing, but by getting rid of them off of there and no longer disturb that market pricing, which means the people that were doing this did not get the benefits of having people accidentally list cards too low. And that's a big factor when it comes down to the overall market, especially on TCG Player, which specializes in cards. They need to get those out of there so that people do not get scammed by marking too low, because they're not necessarily going to each and every individual card and looking at the pricing. We're looking at the data on the backside to make the best decisions on the last sales, the market value, and all that kind of information in order to price our cards accordingly to be competitive in the market. So if the market value on their little charts goes down to $60, most people going to probably start listing at $60. Now, granted, a lot of people with that SAR Charizard are definitely going to take a little bit extra time. Even myself, I'm going to open it up, because if I see $60 on a card like that, I'm going to go check it and be sure that the market value is something that's not screwy, and see probably eBay and other sites to be sure that I'm in a competitive realm when it comes down if I was trying to sell that card. I wouldn't just go buy that price. But there are new people. There are people that don't understand that, and they're just going off of that, especially on rapid lists. They're just rapidly listing products, and they're going by those numbers, and that's what's making the decision. So how can eBay do better? This is going to be the real question at the end of the day, is how can eBay do better? Now, we are seeing consistent shell bidding on products, and it's an interesting aspect of it, and I've said this on this channel. We see these shell bidding, you go to the sold listings, you look at the sold listings, and there's some extremely high sales. So there's been these lilies selling for around $44. There's been 2 of them on there that looks like they've been selling for $44,000. A lily from Sun and Moon. Yes, I know it's a really hot trainer card, but let's be 100% honest, it's probably not worth $44,000. There's a ton of them in PSA 10s. There is an exuberant amount of them for sale, and the pricing on that just does not make sense. But there's been a couple of them, which means that if you're looking at the market graphs and things offside of eBay, so like Pokedata is now pricing, and outside places like PokePrice and all these other ones are shifting, right? They're inflating that price so that when people see these things come up for sale, even at a lesser price, they're buying them, right? You see something that's way under market value because they're inflating that market value. They're ballooning it up by buying something and then quickly canceling the order. Once again, though, it goes on the sold thing because eBay does nothing to show if an order is canceled. Once it's processed and sold, that goes on the sold listings, and it's there. And it hasn't gone away. It never has. So you could sit there and maybe flag it, and I've tried that to report these ones, and nothing really occurs on them when this happens. But this is where eBay could really take the next step of protection for its buyers, not just in Pokemon, but in all the aspects of eBay. Whether it's a vehicle, tires, whether it's, collectibles, or even into just your household goods and commonality things that people are looking for. People can do this with all different things, right? They can inflate those pricing. And now collectibles is a little bit different because we all have outside sources that are giving us data using eBay in order to do so. They're using eBay, they're using TCG Player to create these graphs and what our values are across the board. And that's a big factor when it comes down to these particular things. But it's pretty simple what eBay could do. It takes very little. It would literally take them probably 3 minutes, maybe I'll give them benefit of doubt, 3 hours of programming time in order to do this. If a sale is canceled, red exit. That's it. You don't have to take it off your sold listings even. You can just take it, and if the sale was canceled, so if it sold for $44,000 to $45,000 and it gets canceled after the transaction, after it's been sold supposedly, then you can sit there and put the red X through it. Just read the letters and put a cross through it, and that way outside sources like Pokedata and all these other places can actually sit there and go, okay, that's a canceled order. We don't need to include that into our data set. And if you're going on to eBay and you're searching through this history and you're looking at it, hey, you can see, well, this one sold for $44,000 or $45,000, but it got canceled. So obviously something happened. Someone mistyped something, maybe whatever reasoning. And if it continues to happen over and over and over again, then the places that are actually doing these shell biddings and doing these buying and cancelings would see a trend, and then eBay could actually remove them right off the system. If they're a continuing issue and they're continuing to do these shell bids, then eBay has the opportunity to find them really easily and do that. They could do that with the cancellations too. But let's be honest, it's just interesting that eBay, with a little bit of work, could sit here and save people a lot of headache and a lot of grief when it comes down to the collectible markets. And TCG Player does it. They already removed those sales, which would be great too if eBay just deleted incomplete sales. So if the sale got sold and got canceled by the seller, then eBay just get rid of it. Remove it off your listing so that everybody else's data sets are not skewed, and that this doesn't cause these weird upheavals and ballooning of the market that's really not there, and causing major issues for maybe people that are inexperienced in the hobby. And that's the bigger part about this is inexperienced people in the hobby are going to get caught by this quicker than anybody with experience. So if you're new and not really been in the hobby very long, you're interested in Pokemon, and you see these balloon prices for cards that you thought you might like, and you end up buying these at extremely high prices, that just sets you up for disaster to where you're just mad at the hobby because everybody's out to screw me. And that's a big factor when it comes down to it. When it comes down to the success of this hobby, is you want to make these outlets safe, convenient, and actually able to see things. So once again, eBay, you can do 100% better. TCG Player can do it. Other sites can do it. Why can't you? Why can't you clean this up? That if it gets canceled, it's taken off the sold listing. If you want to make a cancel bracket, I don't care. Just move the data off of the sold so that it doesn't skew all the other data sets that are using your site for their information. I go on to, like I said, you go to PokeData right now, that $45,000, there's two $45,000 sales, which means the overall graph just goes straight up. And it just makes a very, very bad skewed point. And you know that it's wrong because the ones before that sold for $750. You know, you went from or that's a PSA 9, but a PSA 9 sold at $750, and that's another one. There's another card that's on there too that I can tell you right now is probably completely a scam, and we'll get into that one in the next video where we're going to talk about some of these cards that are just going really weird, and that'll be another discussion we have coming up. But yeah, there's some really weird things that the PSA 9s even have accelerated, and these were PSA 10s, and they were selling for around $1,200 to $1,300 prior to those sales, and all of a sudden it goes right to $45,000, even though there's more of them still listed. But now I'm already seeing that other people are starting to list those cards at that price. So we're seeing people up their pricing on those cards artificially due to the fact that they see those $45,000 to $40,000 sales on this particular card. And it's a reciprocating problem that's causing a lot of issues. Now, that may price people out. Maybe people are paying way too much. But over time, the market's going to correct because there's only going to be two sales at that price. Whoever is listing the other ones, I'm willing to bet that the people that lifted their price already are the ones that probably listed it trying to falsify that market. They're trying to make a little bit more gain on these particular cards, and that's a perfect way to do it. So overall, let me know in the comments below. What do you guys think? Do you think that eBay should step up, should come up to the plate and start to jump on some of these shell bidding problems and some of these falsified sales where they cancel them? Or do you think eBay should just keep doing business as normal and just forget it? Let me know in the comments below what you guys think. I'm always interested to hear. Other than that, if you have made it this far in the video, of course, hit that subscribe, hit that notify, and last but not least, hit that like button. Thank you guys for watching. If you do like this kind of content, check out the video afterwards. I'll put them up for you. And we'll see you next time here on Northwoods TCG.